Why most training doesn't change behavior. You know, you might be searching, trying to figure out, why isn't my training program working? Or why, when we go through and we spend all this money on training, in the end it doesn't deliver? Well, I'm going to share why that happens, how that happens, and more importantly, how to nip that in the bud. Now let's get to it. So what you're going to learn today about training is, if they aren't using it, they never really learned it. They didn't have it impactful to them, they didn't have it taught to them in a good enough way, and they were never held responsible. And let's not forget that it's not about the training you care about, it's about the results. Now let's get to it. You know, Monty Python had a skit called The Argument Clinic. And this guy walks into the room and he says, "I'm here for an argument." And the respondent says, "I told you once." That's what most training is. I told you once. Like, you should have absorbed it. Yeah, that doesn't happen. Otherwise, we would go through and, well, yeah, think of it like a little boy is about to learn how to walk. And so his mom calls the dad and says, "Oh, come home, he's learning how to walk." So the dad prepares all the cameras and the lights and everything, and the little kid has to go through it. All it has to do is take one step forward for daddy. And he goes, "Come to papa, come to papa." And all of a sudden the kid falls flat on his face. What do? Run back, put him in his room. "You're never gonna learn how to walk. I'm done with you. I told you once." I want you to have graphic thoughts about training like that, because realistically, that's what most training is. I told you once. Yeah, well, I have a thick skin, and I'm really not listening to you, and I'm waiting for my phone to go off. And by the way, you have bad breath because you had onions for lunch this afternoon. They're not saying that to you. They're just nodding their head. Unless the brain is engaged, unless it goes through and fires a synapse to say, make this a memory, it fades. And if you saw the Pixar movie where we had all the little emotions inside the brain and it was deciding how to keep a memory and not, and every night it threw a bunch out, well, it's the same for you. The brain is deciding, am I ever going to need this again? Has anyone asked me a question about it? Have I had to think about it? Have I had to process it? All that matters, this is the big idea in the video for you, by the way, is all that matters is mastery. I don't care that you took a test. I don't care that you took it and got 100%. I don't care that you took the test 50 times before you got 100%. I don't care that you went and hated role play. I don't care. All I care is, if we invested time and money in you, could you do what was taught? That's it. Much like teachers, you know, in the old days, they had flashcards. You'd have a little card, you'd have to put, 4 times 2, and you'd have to, on the back would be 8. You'd practice with your mom or dad or friend or whatever so that you could learn it, because you knew you were held accountable for a big test that day in elementary school. Well, it's no different with any training, that the brain doesn't do anything with information unless it has to process and take action. So when you're asking me, why doesn't my training change behavior? Look at what you're training and how you're training it. Now, my SalesRx online retail sales training program is in use across thousands of retailers around the world, and more importantly, it's getting results because it's bite-sized videos, 3 to 5 minutes. That's it. The mind can only really get one big idea in that much time. It then is interactive, which means that as you're watching me, and I might have said, "So what does that mean this type of training is called?" And 2 buttons will show up, interactive and something else. And you are forced to take action and pick interactive. And then the learning will go on. If you pick the wrong one, you'll probably have to, I'll say, "Nope, try again." I want to make the brain change, and then it moves on. So everybody gets a little different learning path. But the goal is to get the mind to stop and say, "What did he say? Oh, what?" And then when that happens, they go into our AI role play, which is called Sidekick Rex, where you're actually talking to the computer, and it's on that same one item I told you about, that one strategy about how to talk to people. That's all it's going to have you interact with them, because it's safer. Because a lot of people don't want to do a mock session with another human being. We don't want to feel like we're judged. People don't want to give feedback. I get all that. So we start off with a computer, because most people are pretty comfortable talking to Siri or whatever digital assistant they have. They get a scorecard, 70%, you get to go on. If you get less than that, you take it again. And then there's a quiz. Sounds like a lot, Bob. Yeah, it is. We have a company, Barker's, in New Zealand, who has over 100 stores, and their conversion rate went up 23%. That's out of the moon, thinking they've only been with us a year. Their average sales went up 13%, second best year in history from using SalesRx. And that's a lot of locations. And you know why it works? Is because their managers were charged with, you're going to teach this and coach it every single day. Not like, "Oh, we did it once and done. I told you once." It's like, Yeah. And the goal is, after a sale, tell me about that person you just waited on. If you follow what we teach, then they should be able to say, oh, they just moved to this town. They are 5 blocks away from here. She took a long walk. She'd never been to the mall. She saw our store and wanted to come in because she's got to bring her husband back this afternoon because he's looking for a new suit. Like, cool. Why does that matter? Because only if they had learned what we taught could they tell you what she had said, right? Because otherwise it was just, can I help you find something? No. Let me know if you need anything. Okay. They would have not been able to say it. So all that matters is mastery. So if you're not getting the return on investment in your training, I'd also go back to, is it really good training? I can't tell you how many people come up with training programs, and gosh forbid now with ChatGPT, Chat came up with something. Doesn't mean it's good. In fact, a customer of mine sent me a note showing me how they searched for how to greet a customer, and the first thing was, start off with something nice, like, can I help you find something? It's like, great. Do that. Don't be one of my clients. You can get answers from anyone. And the other problem we have with that, why your training doesn't work, is you're thinking of your employees in a vacuum. Your employees are in the real world, right? They're going to another apparel store and someone's saying, can I help you find something? They're going to go through another, sporting goods, and they're going to say, let me know if you need anything. And they hear that over and over and over again. You're going to have to counteract that because that's not right, but they're hearing it more and more. So as you're trying to figure out what's wrong with your training program, I would assume that, one, you probably have not understood who a learner is and you need bite-sized lessons. The days of putting people in a room for 8 hours and vomiting facts and figures and all these ideas on them and expect change, that'll never work with a younger crew this day. And the shorter you can make the video, the more important, the better it'll be received. But more importantly, just teach one thing and make sure that you follow up with it, coach them to be able to meet with success with a mock session. And most importantly, this is what success looks like. If you do this and follow through, we expect to see an increase of sales of 10% from you and average number of units going out the door 10%, which means you'll be eligible for promotion. Oh, connect the dots. If you do this, you'll get rewarded. Some people go it the other way. If you don't do this, you'll be fired. A lot of training, again, compliance training is you need to do X amount of lessons by Wednesday or else, you're going to have your hours cut. We don't want anything like that to be punitive, but we need it to be serious. And I couldn't believe it. A luxury department store a few months ago did an interview, and somebody asked the CEO, tell me, what do you think could be done with training in your stores? He goes, I've never seen a training program last more than 2 weeks, no matter how good it is. And I wrote the SVP of stores and I said, I can't even imagine somebody would say that. And that's where you also have to start. If someone holds that idea that training is nice to have, doesn't work anyway, then what they're operating on is their own shortcomings, because they didn't know how to write the training, didn't know how to handle it, didn't know what to train, and more importantly, never held people to mastery. They just wanted to get through it. And that's what compliance is. So if you want to just get people to go through your training, compliance, do it, check a box, you're going to struggle, because other than product knowledge, this widget has this and this and this, and that's easy to mark off, it's going to be lost in a day. And what you really care about, if it's going to be product knowledge, is when you're training them how to talk to a customer, can they develop enough rapport to sell the merchandise and understand what's really important with that customer, right? So for example, if I was replacing we're at a home store and I said, yeah, I'm looking for a new garbage disposal. The last one rusted out after a couple of years and always had this really loud grinding sound, and my wife just said we needed a bigger one because of the kids, get it stopped up. Oh, so you would teach that employee then has to say, oh, okay, got it. So you're looking for a larger garbage composer, doesn't make as much noise, and one that's not going to rust out. Does that sound right? Yeah, I've got the perfect one right over here, and they're going to start with the most expensive one because that has additional air baffles in it, which keeps it quieter and has a no-clog chute, right? But those benefits only matter if you took the time to build enough rapport for this guy to tell you everything, right? I'm reminded of the time my mom, she was in her 90s, and she went to a new doctor. And I said, did you tell him everything? And she goes, I did not. I don't know him that well. Yeah, well, he didn't build rapport. He just expects moving this total stranger, you're going to tell him everything about their body. Well, it's no different than a customer. They aren't just going to walk up and say, I've got a black American Express card. Sky's the limit. I don't care how much it costs. I'm here to spend money. They don't do that. But what they're doing is they're testing you. Are you going to make me feel like I matter? Am I going to feel comfortable here? Are you going to help me get the best? I'm your friend. And then you're going to end up having lifelong friends that are customers and vice versa. So all that to say is if you're looking for an ROI on your training and you're not getting it, pull up a mirror it's on you. I'm Bob Phibbs, the Retail Doc. Oh, wait, don't go, wait. You should subscribe before I forget up above. And there's other videos. In fact, I've got one that relates to this down below. And I have a special offer that if you have stores that do at least $1 million each, you can make a strategy call with me down below as well. We'll help you get clear on your goals and strategies and how to get your training in the right way. If you don't have $1 million in sales, you can go through and check out my other videos as well as my 3 books and some other resources. But just because you aren't necessarily comfortable with training your employees doesn't give you a pass. There's a lot of ways you can do it. And certainly, if you've watched this far, you understand, wow, I better get busy. And that's my final point to you. Let's get busy. I'm Bob Phibbs, the Retail Doc. Let's go.